wonderful day. So today's kicks off my first day of my Sansevieria 101 series. I'm going to be going over my Sansevieria collection journey, what I've learned and what I am learning, and it's all trial and error. Just be straight up. Everything I do is what works for me. I'm going to say this prior to any other videos, and I hope I don't have to keep saying it, but everything I do for my plants is the care that I'm providing for my plants. I'm in Sacramento, California. I live in a one-bedroom apartment. I have no patio, so they are indoor plants. I have 2 large west windows and 1 south window. It's pretty much southwest window. That gets really good light. The west windows get really good light. And so just putting that out there. So my climate, my care may be a little bit off from your care because you may be located somewhere else. So I'm just putting that out there. So what you do, how you take care, I always say, rule of thumb for me is I do as much research as I possibly can. I watch tons and tons of videos, which is hard to find any information on Sansevierias. That's why I started this series. I'm going to go over a lot of different topics regarding Sansevieria plants. Now, yes, they're calling them Dracaena now. You'll never hear me calling it a Sansevieria. It's a Sansevieria. It will always be a Sansevieria. And a Dracaena is always going to be a Dracaena to me. Yes, I understand. Whoever, the horticultures, the big people who, botanists, all them, they can call their plants or call plants Dracaenas all they want. I'm going to call them Sansevierias. So you won't hear me calling them Dracaenas. So I'm just letting you know that also prior to this series. So that's just a little tip, just a little bit of, I guess, a disclaimer that I'm saying right now. Once again, your care and what you do with your plant and what somebody else may do or what you learn from somebody else, that is how, if you choose to do that. Me, I learn from, first of all, I let my plants teach me. They're the best teachers when it comes to them because it's them you're taking care of. We can read, we can study, we can watch videos, we can read as many blogs. You can be part of every type of everything, but at the end of the day, you have to learn the care. A lot of stuff you have to learn by living it, by doing it, by touching it, by feeling it. And yeah, it's very important to do research. It's very important to do as much research as possible. But there are just some things that you're going to have to learn on your own and let the plant teach you. And the plants will teach you things. You just need to learn how to learn with your, listen with your eyes. So I just want to put that out there as well. So the care that I'm giving, you can take bits and pieces and come up with your own. I've done that with other people's information I've taken, and I've done research when I'm trying to figure out what's wrong, what to do, and it's been 1.5 years for me only for my collection. My first plant was a Sansevieria. They're my first plant, my favorite plant, and my collection has grown quite a bit. So you can go back to my first video, which started in December. I started this YouTube channel December 2018. but you'll see my first video was of my Sansevieria collection. And since then till now, I've collected a lot more and I've learned a lot too. You know, experience is always hands-on. It's best to have as much experience. Experience teaches you a lot, but you have to live it also. You got to live that experience. You can't learn it all in one day, and it takes years to learn. So I'm still a rookie, and I'm learning as I go. I have learned things as in my journey. So that's just a little bit to go over this series. I'm going to definitely be doing repot, showing what I use for my mixture for the soil. When I do unboxings, it'll show basically, and I'll be doing, you know, random updates on all the collection, what I've learned, different books that I've read and studied, different videos and YouTubers that I also watch that like Sansevierias, which aren't that many. There are, but a lot of them, as far as English speaking, there are a lot that are. There's a very big, large community in other countries, but United States is just kind of hard to find much information, because most of the times the plants come from other countries. So anyhow, that's just a rundown on this series. This series is starting. I will post a weekly video. I don't know what days. I do have my plant feature Tuesdays, so it won't be on Tuesday, but it will be periodically once a week. So I'll be posting the Tuesday videos for the plant feature, which I also go over each one of my plants. So there are Sansevieria videos on there as well, but I may even repeat the same plant on this series, but maybe go into more depth of the origin and all that stuff, because that's what I plan on doing, is researching each one, see where they came from, who was the person who came up with the name of the plant, where it grew in its natural habitat, you know, all that stuff. When I do plant feature, I just basically go over the basic care that I do. I don't go into really deep detail. So I'm just saying that. So today kicks off the first day, and what I'm going to start off with is my plants that I just, so today's topic is going to be what I do when I receive my Sansevierias bare rooted. Most of the times you will get your Sansevieria, if you order online, bare root, which I rather kind of have, because I don't want it to come to me either soaked and wet and then it has spores on the leaves, because there was too much moisture in the box or whatever. So I'd rather have it bare rooted. These two, I did an unboxing. I received these from eBay. You can go back to the eBay, it'll say rare Sansevieria, well, rare plant unboxing from eBay seller. I believe it's Giorgio 1972. You can go to that video and you'll see the unboxing. Let me just double check and make sure. So if you want to see the unboxing, if you want to see the seller who I bought these from, and I go into the price and whatnot, you can go back to that video if you want to. Let's see. The actual name. So the video, let's see, sorry. All right, so the video is going to be, okay, rare plant eBay, rare plant eBay unboxing, and it's Giorgio S 1972. He's an eBay seller. So if you want to look at his website to find out where to find out the information, look and see if you're interested in buying any plants from him. That is his name. It's Giorgio, Giorgios 1972. I will definitely put a description of the actual name of the plant. I'll try to do that more often. I don't really do it much, but I'll put the description of the the seller of these two. I did spend roughly around $28. That the small one of them was $7.99. I believe the other one was $12.99. So that's that. If you want to go back and look at the unboxing for that video, you're more than welcome to go back so you can see how he packaged, which was very, very, very good. And the prices were perfect for me. I really am pleased with these plants. So these are the plants. We'll start off. This is called a KIRKII, a Sansevieria KIRKII variegated PULCHRA. Let's see. I should have had all this done. Sorry. The other one, they call this a silver princess, but that's a nickname for it. This is actually called a gray lady. So there's the height, there's the color. Very cute little, very narrow leaves, and it ends up growing tall, skinny leaves. So that's the growth on her. She gets it's very tall, skinny leaves. Her leaves are a little bit dehydrated, so that's why I'm potting her up. There's the roots. It wasn't soil. He just took it out and sent it to me. So that's that. And he came from Florida. The plants came from Florida. Look and see the actual socket. Okay, let's see. And also, they came from Florida. So this one is it's called the Gray Lady. Her nickname is going to be Silver Princess. And this one is called the Sansevieria KIRKII variegata PULCHRA COPPERTONE. So that's the name of these two plants. And this one came with a pup. So I received these plants yesterday. I got them in the mail. They were first class mail. I unboxed them, sat them in a cooler spot yesterday when they got here. It was around 11 or 12 p.m. or 11 a.m. And I went ahead and sat them out. So they've been sitting pretty much almost 24 hours, just sitting on paper. I didn't mess with them, just let them sit out. Now it is approximately 6:31 the next day p.m. and I'm potting them up. So they can handle it. Their Sansevierias are pretty tough cookies when it comes to stuff. I do that. I just kind of let them sit and pretty much air out, just in case there was whatever. And so that's what I did. Left them in the pretty much cool, far back from the window. So that's what they did all night till now. Now I'm going to go ahead and pot them up. I have a mixture. So I have this, I use this as a preventive, and I put this in the soil of every plant that I pot up. And then I even treat the plant. It's good for up to 8 weeks. It's called Boni Systemic Houseplant. Systemic Houseplant insect control. I do this for a preventive reason. Now, Sansevierias, there's not too many bugs that mess with them, but they can get scale, they can get mealy, and they can get fungus gnats. I like this stuff because it works in the soil. It's a powder form, and you just pour it in the soil. You mix up the soil and dry soil when you're about to, pot something up, and then you can even put it on your soil after it's potted after 8 weeks because it only works for so long. And then you pour it on the soil and you just rub it into the soil, and then every time you water it basically works through the roots up to the foliage, and it kills any type of eggs in the soil, which fungus gnats, that's how you're going to get your damage, is when the fungus gnats get inside the soil, they lay their larvae. The flying ones aren't going to hurt you, but they'll irritate you. And I have an insect control preventive video if you want to go into that, and I have ways to catch them. That I work for me, but my main thing is this stuff. You put it in the soil, and it works through the soil, through the roots, up to the foliage. So it's in the soil. So whatever's in the soil, it's also killing. And what that does, so with the fungus gnats, they can mess with Sansevierias too. Like Sansevierias. In fact, I've had more fungus gnat problems with the Sansevierias I've gotten than pretty much any of my plants. It seemed like they mess with their soil, but a lot of times I've bought the plant and it was overwatered, and then with it being overwatered, fungus, and since they get fungus and they rot quick, you will get fungus gnats. So your best bet is to be preventive before, especially winter's coming up, and it's cold, and when you water the plants, it's not going to dry as quick. Even with terracotta, it's still, so I'm always a preventive person. Now that's what I do. I'm not saying nobody else needs to do that. I have rooting hormone, which I'm gonna pour on the roots. Even though there's roots, I'm gonna still pour this on the roots and like around their rhizome and the bottom of the plant, just to give it an extra boost. And then I put a little bit of this, just a little bit of cinnamon in the soil, which cinnamon also is a rooting hormone. It's an antifungal, all that's good stuff. So it helps plants. So that's what I've done. I started doing that with my Sansevieria plants that I get that are bare rooted. I've been doing that. So that's a new thing that I've started, and it's just regular cinnamon, just a sprinkle of it. It helps with bugs too, but it also helps with rooting. It just does a lot, and I actually pour a little bit in the soil and just mix it up. So that's what I pretty much treated. This is what's in the soil. These are the two additives. So the soil mixture is a mixture of perlite, pumice rocks, charcoal. Let's see what else is in here. Perlite, pumice rocks, charcoal. Just a second. Let me get these two so then I can show you the soil real quick without hurting these guys. Sansevierias, I would say they're hard on the outside but soft on the inside, so you have to be careful because their leaves are very fragile. And they're not really fragile, but they are. Their leaf tips too, so you have to be real careful with them. So let's see. So here's my soil. As you can see, there's charcoal. There is it's very rocky. There's pieces of stone in there, of gravel. It's just a very, very airy, rocky soil. Charcoal, wood, orchid bark. I mean, there's even some little balls, some clay balls in here. Orchid bark, fir bark. There's different types of barks in here. Big pieces of pumice, a lot of wood, a lot of just real rocky, gritty, and that just helps with aeration. Different pieces of charcoal, so it's very airy. It's a very airy soil. So that's what you want with Sansevieria, because their root system, as you see, they're not that big, and they don't want to have wet feet. They don't want their soil wet for too long. So you need it to drain out as quick as possible and have as less soil as you can in there, and more of just, I always say 20% soil, and the rest you want to have stuff to add on to it, and that's really to your discretion. Orchid bark, charcoal, perlite. I'll get into soil one day on what each one is used for, but for now I'm telling you what I'm using to pot these up. So that's the soil. That's how it looks. Very rocky looking. Okay. So the first one is the little one I'm going to use, and I have a 4-inch terracotta pot for her. Yeah, so this is called, they call her Silver Princess, but she's the actual species name is called Sansevieria Great Lady. Okay. So, now this is only for plants that I've gotten mail order. So I'm just going to say that. I will do a potting on water propagation, because I do have a Sansevieria. There are actually 2 that are water propagating right now, and I'll go over that propagation that you're doing on your own. But then if you get, this is what I do when I get them in the mail, and they have roots. So these have roots. So I'm just going to have her in there far enough, but not too low. This is a real small pot. That's the most important thing you can do, is have a very airy soil and a terracotta pot with Sansevierias, because you want it to, terracotta wicks up water very, very good. So that's one thing you want to make sure you do, is get your Sansevieria in a terracotta, and you also want to use some very rocky, airy soil. You don't want it to be too deep. Just enough to hold the plant. She's a little dehydrated, but I'm gonna, being that it's kind of late in the day, I'm just gonna give them a good drink tomorrow and early in the morning. Not a good drink, like a sip, just enough to get the soil wet. This always happens. Sometimes you don't get the right thing because I forgot to do something. So, forgot to put rooting hormone on the rhizome. So Sansevierias generally get broke when you're propagating from a rhizome and there's the broken piece right there. I always like to put um, rooting hormone rooting hormone on that piece in the roots, just to give it some extra, because rooting hormone helps, push out roots, and it also helps from rot. So I want to make sure I don't have no rotting going on with this plant, with any of my Sansevierias. All right, there we go. And I added that cinnamon in there also, which is another extra little to prevent, because they rot so quickly. They rot quick, so it's so easy to overwater them. And I've had that experience. I just lost one because I was bottom watering her, which I do a lot, but I had left it sitting in there for too long. Even bottom watering, you can accidentally. What I've learned when I bottom water, which I'll do a video, I'm going to do a video on that too, but I like to take a toothpick and pluck through it even when I'm bottom watering, because what that does is it pushes out any extra, air pockets or that's holding on to some water, because that's what I think happened to that Sansevieria that I end up overwatering accidentally. So it happens. Push real good on the sides now. Okay. That's about it. I hate when I get soil in between, but sometimes it's hard to get them to be in there the way you really want it to be. But as long as it's locked in, oh boy, I'm gonna have to clean her up later. I use a paintbrush, or I'll use like a pencil or something to try to get some of that soil that I accidentally put in here. Okay, so that's about it. She's potted up. She's a little dirty in the middle, but I'm gonna clean her up a little bit. But there, I left enough room so I don't, when I water, it doesn't float over, and I'm just pushing on the sides just to make sure she's held up in there. So that's the first one. So as you see, I just potted her up. Now I'm not gonna water her till tomorrow. I'll go ahead and give her some water, a little drink with a fertilized water. So the fertilizer I have right now is I generally use Joe's slow release fertilizer. I'm gonna get some, but I'm not. I don't have them right now. But what I'm gonna do is put some slow release some Neptune seaweed and fish, organic fish fertilizer, and just a pinch of really um, Super Thrive. You only use a eighth. I use a 1/8 teaspoon toward with a gallon of water and 1 tablespoon of fertilizer in a gallon of water. And I also put maybe under 1/8 teaspoon of peroxide with that mixture. That's just another additive I add. A lot of people don't like adding. I don't add a whole bunch, just like maybe not even enough to hurt the plant, but it's in there. Just to me, something about peroxide, pouring it in with the fertilizer and the Super Thrive, it's just a mixture. I know it sounds bad, but my science to it I'll explain one day. But for now, my main thing is I'm trying to prevent rot as much as I can. And just a little shot, it's not even enough to hurt the plant. Under 1/8 tablespoon. I mean, yeah, 1/8 teaspoon actually, which is very, very small amount. That's not even enough to do anything actually. But I just like to add that extra thing to it. So that's what she's gonna get watered with tomorrow. Um, so she'll sit in this all day, and then I'll water her tomorrow. And then she'll sit. I'll give her some bright indirect light. She did come from Florida, so I'm pretty sure the sun has been different. The weather out there is a little different than here, but she'll acclimate and get used to my place and be growing in no time soon. So there's that. There's the gray lady, Sansevieria, or silver princess is what they also call her. Okay, now we're gonna get to the their Kirky beauty. Do the same exact stuff. Let's see. She has a pup with her, so I'm gonna put her. And the purpose, once again, for the little pots, I keep my sansevierias in real little pots. This one, I would have put her in a 4-inch pot if she didn't have the pup, but she does have a pup, so I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna go ahead and put her in a 5-inch terracotta pot, which terracotta once again eats up all the moisture and stuff because you don't want your Sansevieria to have any type of moisture. I'm going crazy with the root hormone. You don't have to do that. I was using cinnamon before, so cinnamon is pretty much got the same thing. It's a rooting. It has an antifungal component to it or whatnot. So I was using cinnamon, but I just got some root hormone just to see. There's cinnamon in the soil, so all right. Let's see. I try not to bury it too far down because you don't want it to. They don't like it'll rot the leaves out. So I try not to put that much leaf into the pot. It's mainly trying to cover up the roots and the bottom of the rhizome. The cover up the rhizome because that's really the root also. So the rhizome is the main thing really out of the plant is what it's growing from is the rhizome. So I always end up, and I'll probably have to redo the gray lady because I always try to get them. It's like takes a few times to get it in there the right way because you want to make sure that it's in there and locked into the soil. But you want to make sure it ain't too deep. But you also want it in there well enough to where it's the soil's holding it because you don't want it to be flopping around or it'll pull out. Also, it can come out when you water or move it around. So I want this pup to grow into the pot with her. So and they love to be pot bound. So you can have several. It'll grow. This pup will end up growing, and another pup might come right behind that one. And I still won't repot this till next summer, so or really March, or unless it breaks the pot. Then and their Sansevierias are known for doing that. So if it does, then I'll have to repot her. But until then, the roots aren't that big on here, so you don't want to. I don't want to put her in a huge pot and she don't have much root system. Then she's definitely gonna die, and I don't want that. So, but that's why I'm doing as much precautions as possible. Small pot, real rocky, gritty soil, and should be okay. And then tomorrow, like I said, I'll let them sit overnight like this, and then tomorrow I'll water them early in the morning, and that's about it. What? Give it a sip, not even a like a watering can, just enough to get the soil wet. That's all I'm gonna do is get it enough to get the soil wet. Not even a lot, just enough to get the soil wet, just so them roots can suck up the water, and then they'll suck it up, and the soil and the nutrients will all start doing its thing, and then I won't water it again for about a week from now, like 7 days week even, especially since it's not that cold right now. I mean that hot, but if it may get hot, I may water it in 5 days, 5 to 6 days. So it depends on how hot it's gonna get. Okay, so I think she's about done. Let me press on the sides. I always press on the side, make sure there's no air pockets getting in. Sorry. I've been wanting this one for so long. This is a beautiful, beautiful specimen. Look at those colors. It's almost like a silver to it. I know they have the copper tone one that is a copper color, but this one has like gray, bluish silver color to it. Not gray, but like a bluish silver, dark green color. Just beautiful, is all I could say. Oh, and I also will. So when I water, I have some liquid, um, which is once a year systemic insect control also. Which one day I'm gonna do an updated thing for that, but I will put a little bit of that water in also, just as much preventative care as possible, just to prevent from any bugs, because I'm not trying to deal with no fungus gnats. Last year I had some in the winter, and that's when they come. The fall, the winter, that's their favorite time. It seemed like, and I live in an apartment. They squeeze through window screens. They get in however they want. You can be sitting in your house and not go bring no plants in, and have the same plants, and then bugs will still get into your apartment some kind of way. So don't think that just because you don't get no new plants and they can come in. So I'm trying to prevent, because I do not want no fungus and that problems. So that's that. She's potted. Here she is. It's Kirky, and they're both done. So that's my process on what I do when I get Sansevierias bare rooted in the mail. I get a lot of my Sansevierias from eBay or Etsy. Well, I have a large selection. I mean, I have a large amount, but I've got quite a bit from eBay and Etsy recently. I just started ordering them, so but I do have quite a bit that I've bought local. So, but yeah, so there's your what you do, what I do when my Sansevierias come in, bear root. Um, this is what I do with my Sansevierias. Um, there's also cocoa. There's some cocoa. Sorry, I believe this is cocoa core. The this with this I was gonna say with the seasoning with the soil. There is some cocoa core in there also broke down. So that's the soil amendment that's been used for them. So yeah, this is what I do. I unwrap them, sit them out overnight, and then the next day I give it a about a 24 hour after sitting in a cool darker spot. Then I go ahead and pot them up. Now they're gonna sit in this overnight, the soil, and then in the morning I will give them a drink, and then they will get bright indirect light, and then I won't give them another drink. So tomorrow, I'll go from 5 to 6 days from tomorrow. It depends on the lighting, but remember they're in small pots, so and they're in terracotta pots, so that water is going to get yanked up as also, and then the plant itself will yank some of that water up, and then the soil amendment is very rocky, gritty, so it's not going to be soggy. So it'll dry out very quickly, which that's what you want. Your whole purpose is to give the roots a drink and then let it dry out. It doesn't need to be sitting wet for days. It doesn't need moist soil, and that's what moist soil is. You want it to dry out quickly, fast, almost in 2 days. You want it to be dried out because that way their roots aren't soggy, and let them roots start working into the soil to start creating, magic, the root ball. So that's it. I hope everyone enjoyed this. This was the first series. I hope everyone enjoyed this series. This so if you do get a Sansevieria online, bare rooted, this is how I care. This is my care. This is what I do when I first get them. I just pretty much explained everything. Like I said, tomorrow they will get a small drink, just a drink, not a like some of my like when my other Sansevierias, I give them a good drink. These guys are just gonna get a sip. We'll call it a sip of water, just enough to get the roots wet, and wet the soil a little bit, not soak the soil, but give it a good drink, a sip, not even a drink, we'll call it, because they're still babies, and you want to give them baby steps. So, well, they're not really babies. This one's not. I'm so happy, but yeah. So that's about it. Small terracotta pots I put them in. Um, Rocky, gritty soil. They will be fertilized. They will be watered with fertilized water. The soil has been treated with systemic and a little bit of cinnamon, rooting hormone, which I bought at Walmart for a little under $5. The cinnamon I got from the 99-cent store. The soil I pretty much buy from someone who I get my Hoyas from, and they have Sansevierias from time to time, but they don't have the ones I want. So, but I generally buy that, or if I don't get it from them, I make up my own stuff. But recently, I've been getting it because it's a real good mixture, and you can use it for Hoyas. I would use this for philodendrons also. So yeah, it's a real airy, rocky, and that's what I collect is philodendrons. Well, aeroids, some aeroids, but mainly philodendrons, sansevierias, and Hoyas. So that's it. I'm looking forward to more videos. I hope this one was good. Like I said, this is how I do it. You may want to do research on other videos. If there are other videos showing what to do when you've received a Sansevieria in the mail from Beirut and shipping. So other than that, I hope everyone enjoyed this video. Hope I was very informative. Like I said, I'll be doing way more videos, more in-depth videos. And I will be doing a plant update soon, a Sansevieria plant update, just so you'll go over it. Also, one thing I'm very particular on is finding the right ID. So when I give you the names, just like this one, I bought this as a silver princess, but it's actually called a gray lady. That's the actual botanic name or whatever. And then there's a bunch of nicknames, just like the whale fin is Sansevieria masoniana. There's this Sansevieria science. There's different names. People call them different stuff. They got the nicknames, and then they have the botanist name. And some names, some of them are hybrids. So I do make sure I can find the name and then I do a lot of research on each one of my Sansevieria to make sure I have the correct name to it, because there's a lot of them that they sell you the plant, and there's multiple names, but it's the same plant. So I make sure I collect plants that I don't have. So I do a lot of researching. And being that this was a silver princess, even though it was labeled as a silver princess, it is a silver princess because it's the nickname for Gray Lady Sansevieria. And then this is the Kirky. There's quite a bit different Kirkies.